This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's episode of DocNJock is brought to you by Score, a new mobile app coming soon. Score is an interactive game that lets users win deals at bars and restaurants based on what's going on in live sporting events. Find new places to watch games and save money on your bill at the same time by taking advantage of Score's unique interactive specials that give you an additional stake in the action. A Score special can be anything a location wants it to be, from 10% off an item if a team scores a touchdown to a free round of drinks if a quarterback throws for 400 yards. Any stat can be turned into a game. Pick the deals you want to win, watch the games you want to watch, and score deals in real time. The app will update when your team or player records a relevant stat. When the conditions of your deal are met, coupons are sent to your device to show your server or bartender. It's that easy. Score is coming to the App Store and Google Play soon. For more information, check them out on the web at score-app.io and follow them on Twitter and Instagram at ScoreDeals. Score, watch games, score deals.
Is there a sports podcast in Detroit that people are talking about?
Hey everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
A new day is upon us, Cousin Adam. The Lions did us a solid, finally ending this miserable season, losing to the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not even mad about it, because for everybody that wanted the Lions to lose, and hopefully Bob Quinn has his feet up and is like, okay, good, you made the decision easy. If the new year passes, if January 3rd happens and we record next week and Jim Caldwell is still the head coach of the Detroit Lions, there will be hell to pay, because he made it easy. Jim Caldwell, the Lions' craptastic performance, whatever that was displayed at Cincinnati, atrocious. It was embarrassing. Literally, when the scenarios that you need to make the postseason happen occur, Atlanta is going to probably lose out. All you got to do is beat a lowly Cincinnati team, come home, handle your business, you're in the postseason. No, you go, you crap the bed, you perform absolutely atrociously, you embarrass the city, and it doesn't make really logical sense. If everybody knows these athletes in that locker room for the Detroit Lions, if they know if we lose, there's a chance our coach is gone. Where's the passion? Look, you would assume I'm a mild-mannered guy outside of sports, right? Just starting to talk about this has got me riled up. Where is that from the team? 7-6 at halftime. You make a lot of mistakes. You let Cincinnati perform, and you let them take advantage of you in that second half, winning the contest. It wasn't even close in the second half. Where is the passion? Where is the fight for this Detroit Lions team, knowing that if it doesn't work out, there's a chance all these jobs are gone? There's no guarantee you're going to be a Detroit Lion forever. You basically, the Detroit Lions athletes, basically cost Terrell Austin, Jim Bob Cooter, Jim Caldwell, all the staff their jobs. Now, between you and I'm happy because it's a new day. There's a chance once the second happens. I don't think they'll do it on New Year's Day. That's a little bit cold. Maybe they will. It's a news dump. Maybe if Michigan's playing at noon, maybe they'll release it like at 12:05. But I truly believe Tuesday the 2nd will be the day the Lions cut bait with Jim Caldwell, and we can now start phase 3 of the DocNJock plan, like we said 4 years ago when he was hired. Jim Caldwell did the job. Applaud him for getting them to at least respectability. Now it's time to take that next step, move forward, get the right coach. In the end, when you summarize Jim Caldwell's tenure, I'm going to look at it favorably in that my expectation was he was the stopgap. He was the second choice. He was the plan B. Ken Wisenhunt was like, peace, I'm going to Tennessee. He didn't even make it 2 years. Now you have an opportunity. He got you to 7 to 10 wins consistently. You got the framework of a team. Bob Quinn can't be a puppet. There is no way, Kenny's right, that Bob Quinn is going to have everybody view him as a puppet boy. There is no way. Otherwise, I'm walking out. If Martha Ford comes to my office and says, keep Jim Caldwell, peace, I'm out. And I'm verbalizing it right away to the NFL Network. I'm verbalizing it to ESPN. Ownership is whack.
The thing that blows my mind is this is polarizing. How is this polarizing? He's been a bad coach. Like, in Lions lore, he's a very good coach, but he hasn't been a good coach as far as head coaches go. I mean, again, you go to the Cincinnati Bengals, who have all but checked out on their head coach checked out on them. It's a sinking ship. They're the worst rushing team in the NFL. Yet, Gio Bernard racks up 116 yards on you and scores a dagger of a touchdown. What? And on that play, they were sitting there running the ball to set up the field goal. But the Lions couldn't sit there and stop him, and next thing you know, he skirts into the end zone for a 12-yard TD. Are you serious? They were trying to line up on the right hash. Instead, he breaks it for 12 yards up the right sideline. Mind-blowing. Again, you have more personnel issues where you can only get 9 guys on the field. Again, that's at least the 7th time this season that has happened. 7 people, 7. And not like 7 individual times. 7 games this season, this has happened. Are you serious? There were games where this happened 3 times in a game. You're the head coach. What are you doing? But wait, it gets even worse from there. You've got an offensive coordinator who feels like it's a good idea when your entire team is predicated on the pass because you can't run the damn ball. And I understand sequencing. Believe me, people, I get it. You run to set up the pass, you pass to set up the run. I get it. I understand all of that. But when it is first down, I don't need to see you go out there and try to run the ball. And then when it's second down, or it's 2nd and 15, let's say, you try to do another draw play. That's not cutting it, guys. It's just not cutting it. You know, you got wide receivers on the team. We talked about it last week about how awesome Marvin Jones has been playing. You got a decent wide receiver there. I don't know what the hell happened. I have no clue what happened to Golden Tate. I mean, if he could show up, that'd be cool. I'm just saying, dude, you get paid millions, show up. You're supposed to be the leader as far as the wide receivers go. Show up. And then you know what? I got to sit there and look at your pouty face after a game or after you don't get enough touches. Get that mess out of here. I don't need that. Come on now. Again, Jim Caldwell is at the crux of all of these issues. Personnel issues, that's on you. Your coaches, that's on you. Calling bad bonehead plays, that's on you. Guess what? You've got a feed going on. When the offensive or defensive coordinator's calling a play, you can override them. You're the head coach. It's allowed. Really, it's allowed. Stopgap coach is what he is. You called it 4 years ago. 4 years ago, you called it. Stopgap coach. And you know what? You're right. He gets you to at least 7 wins. And that's what this team is. This team is basically average.
And now you need to take that next step. First and foremost, validate for me that the Lions on Tuesday are going to fire Jim Caldwell.
I think it's going to come sooner.
I hope so.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if after that Green Bay game's over, and I really hope that they lose that Green Bay game. After that Green Bay game is over, you could see him fired right there on the spot. And I'd be totally okay with that. I would be totally okay with that. And going into that Green Bay game, honestly, I don't want to watch that game. I don't care who wins that game. I don't give 2 craps what goes on with that game. I don't want to see Matt Stafford start that game. I don't want him to start. I don't need to see Theo Riddick in that game. I don't need to see Amir Abdullah in that game. You know, if you want to put Golden Tate out there, fine. I don't even care anymore. Marvin Jones, go ahead. I don't care. I need to see a guy like Tion Green out there playing. I need to see some type of semblance of an offensive line that gives a damn, because I haven't seen that. In a defense that can do something. I mean, if somebody could go dig up the body of Ziggy Ansah, I mean, circa, I don't know, 2015, maybe 2014, I'll take it, because I haven't seen that guy in a couple years. He's basically been a shell and a ghost of himself. I don't want to see the starters out there because I don't need Matt Stafford to get hurt. I don't want that to happen. I do need to see more Tion Green because I'm not sure what he is. Is he Joik Bell? Is he Joik Bell 2.0? He might be. Or is he something better than that? I don't necessarily believe that, but he's a player who has done some things. He's actually been able to run the ball. He falls forward. He gets you first downs. He can go between the tackles. He's a big dude who can carry a load. I'm cool with it. I need to see more of him. I don't need to see more of Theo Riddick, and I definitely don't need to see Amir Abdullah ever again.
And plus, in a draft that's upcoming that has some quarterbacks, you probably need to see what Jake Rudock can do against some defenses. You have to evaluate. You have to see what you have on this team. And so maybe you don't view it as a demotion for Matthew Stafford. You don't say, well, yeah, this game is important. You don't want to risk him getting hurt. You have to see what Jake Rudock can do against some defenses because of the fact that, you know, going forward, you may have to now start the process of maybe bringing in someone that you could groom to maybe even replace Matthew Stafford. The conversation has to be out there when you have a quarterback that's going to be playing in the NFL for a decade and is going to have no playoff wins. You have to have that conversation. It has to be open. Everything has to be on the table now with the Detroit Lions. That's where they're at, simply. And Jim Caldwell came out and said it when he addressed the media on Tuesday. He said, look, at the end of the season, everything has to be evaluated, and I truly believe Bob Quinn will look at it and say, okay, some of the fat we got to trim. We got to cut Amir Abdullah. We're going to probably keep Eric Ebron, but other pieces that are not performing are probably going to be gone. And so we sit here today and you ask, okay, where do we go from here? Obviously, probably the final piece will be getting that stud running back that can get 100 yards. I mean, seriously, some people joked on Twitter, and they messaged me on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. They said, start Matthew Stafford, don't be silly, but just have him hand it off every single play in an effort to just break that streak and just get anybody 100 yards. They said, look, this game don't mean nothing, just every single play, handoff right, halfback left, up the center, misdirection, just run the ball and see if anybody can get 100 yards as a complete joke. And that's where we're at with the Lions, is joking around, clowning around, trying to end ridiculous streaks, and that's what this team has led us to. I mean, literally, you walked in on Christmas Eve and we fist bumped. That's what we did because we said, because how can you be mad? I mean, we're bored out of our minds. I've said this now for over 12 months. We are bored as hell watching the Detroit Lions. You watch any other game. You watch the Christmas game. There were pass plays, there were hits, there were things that you can chomp into. The Lions at 7-6 at half, both teams literally, if you follow us on our Twitter page, the thread was, you know what? The Lions have a bad play, and then Cincinnati tries to top them with an even worse, shittier play. That's what it was. It was a competition to see who could perform the shittiest. And that's embarrassing for Jim Caldwell and Marvin Lewis to go out like that. And like I said, they are reduced. Those organizations are reduced to laughingstocks. I said both teams should carry their coaches off the field because of the fact that both teams looked unorganized. They both looked craptastic. They both made ridiculous mistakes at bad times. And you got two coaches that mirror each other in terms of what they're doing. And it's a shame because Marvin Lewis and Jim Caldwell should have a lot more respect around the league, but they won't.
Dude, Jim Caldwell is Marvin Lewis, but with a bewildered look. That's all it is. That's all he is. Did you put any stock in this article by Joseph Hayes from the Times-Herald talking about how basically Jim Caldwell's on the hot seat and it's all due to racism?
Oh, God.
I thought this was just overreaching, and I thought this was
It's a reach.
It's not the case at all. Like, if Jim Caldwell came in and was, I don't know, able to get us to a playoff game and help us win one, or if I had some confidence in his ability to coach a team and be able to count to 11, okay, cool. No big deal. But I don't have confidence in him, nor his ability to sit there and use a calculator, an abacus, or be able to count on his hands and toes to get to 11. I just don't. And the thing is, Jim Caldwell has come in to a really bad situation, right? When he took this team over, this team was not good. This team has gotten better, all right? We're not where I guess we should be, but he doesn't do anything on the field on Sundays where I'm like, he's a good coach. He's an awesome coach. He doesn't do anything. He screws plays up left and right. He doesn't sit there and exert his power when you've got a offensive coordinator wanting to run the ball on 2nd and 15. He's not in the headset saying, no, you're not. You're a damn fool. Throw the damn ball. Do a slant, do a fade, do something. Go down the field. Take advantage of their defensive backs. Do you realize on Sunday, their defensive secondary was so beat up. So beat up. How many times did you throw the ball deep? How many times? Instead, you wanted to run it on 2nd and 15. Look, Joseph Hayes, Jim Caldwell's not a good football coach. He just isn't. He's a pretty decent coordinator for the most part, but you can't let him be in control of the car. You can't. Put him in the back seat. You can put him in the passenger seat. You can put him wherever you want to put him, but you can't put him behind the steering wheel because he can't drive the car because he's going to run it right into a wall. He's done it time and time again. At no point does he help you win games. You win games in spite of him. Hey,
isn't it kind of gross that he writes many fans don't like Caldwell because he's African American?
That's not the case.
We don't like him because he can't coach effectively.
He's not a good coach. He makes dumb plays. He doesn't challenge when he should challenge. He challenges when he shouldn't challenge. He sits there, doesn't utilize timeouts correctly. Do you remember, I think it was like 2 seasons ago, where they were just stumbling through the opening of the season, and I would come in with detailed lists of everything he did wrong in a game. There was that game against the Colts where they got lucky they won the game. They won the game in spite of him because he sat there and he didn't utilize his timeouts correctly.
Even Jim Caldwell was asked, and he doesn't believe it, okay? Because when you just present facts to people and then you present the argument, it diminishes this argument in so many ways. Because look, if race was involved, why was he retained?
Right.
He was retained as the coach. A new manager came in and surveyed the landscape, and he was seeing what he could accomplish, and he did it properly. He said, look, show me what you got. And how do you justify this? The entire division, devoid of the best quarterback, is now for the taking, okay? There is enough talent on this Detroit Lions team to at least make the postseason. And then you could argue, okay, he's made the postseason several seasons. Now we can say, okay, maybe we can make the argument to keep him. But when you don't make the postseason, when you just put the film in front of this reporter and say, you know, those 16 first halves, they never got better. They started slow each and every game. And most of the time, it was full of errors. It was full of uninspired play, a lot of mental mistakes. Seriously, all you got to say, really, you could put one clip out there, maybe two. One clip, 9 men on the field. He doesn't call timeout. Nobody on the field has the awareness to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Call a timeout. For the play to get off and to be penalized for that is something that's egregious and is a fireable offense right then and there. Fine. You don't like that? You want to go back a year or two? That's Seattle play. He didn't know the rules because had a reasonable head coach, and that resulted in one of our finer rants, I should say, here on the network. If you know the rule and you're aware that, you know, you're on the road in Seattle on a Monday night game and they punch the ball with their fist, you can't do that. You should be flailing like a wild animal out there on the field being like, hey, explain this to me. How is this not a penalty? How is this against us? Nobody knew the rule. Nobody knew in that organization. Caldwell didn't know. And as a result of his lack of in-game awareness, it has hurt the Lions repeatedly. And so that's all I'm going to show you and say, if you want to discuss race in any scenario, that's fine. You're just diminishing your argument because it's not the case. He was retained. He's given a lot of money. And remember, guys, most people, you know, that get fired don't get a $6 to $7 million cushion. He's guaranteed that money. Okay, so he's going to get booted. And if he doesn't take a job for the year 2018, he will make millions. So if that's what racism is, sign me up. I want to be part of that. I want to be treated, I want to be racially profiled, get a job, get fired, and be mistreated so I can get $5 million to not work. That's racism in 2017. Get the hell out of here. Nobody buys that. And it's about performance. It's also about business, period. Plain and simple. Jim Caldwell's there, you lose fan base, you lose money. I wouldn't go. I would consider, if they bring him back, not tweeting at all during Lions games next year. Just not, I'd watch, but just be like, you know what, I'm not going to give him attention. I'm just going to, you know what, put the final score, and that's it. Not cover it. Because, did you look at that schedule? Someone posted the home and away portion about who's coming in. Bro, the Rams, Seattle, tough-ass teams.
Right.
It's not going to get any easier next year because, you know, with the way the schedule shakes out, you might have to play the Panthers again. So it's not going to be no easy stretch down the road. So it's time for the organization to take that next step. And now, I don't know if you heard this, but an esteemed former 97-1 ticket has a source, and he kind of floated it out there. He said, per Terry Foster, that he's got a source inside the Lions organization, and he tweeted out there to the masses, Miss Martha Ford loves herself some John Gruden.
Really?
That's what he tweeted out there.
No
He put out there, and it was reported that...
Do you want John Gruden here?
Hell no, but that's so Lions, isn't it?
It would be.
You know what? He's won a Super Bowl. He's kind of the sexy name. He's kind of the outside-the-box name. They could go out there, and he is a guy that's been watching football. It's the Lions move. Literally, it's the name that when we sit here and we go, you know what? If you actually think about it, that's a dumbass move that the Lions would make and parade him out there, and it would be like, we got the guy. This is our Bill Cowher. This is our Bill Belichick. He won a Super Bowl. Look
at
this.
The worst part about John Gruden is he likes everybody. Like everybody, like I can't stand listening to him announce. In the color guy who's with him is absolutely atrocious on those ESPN games. But he likes everybody. He's not going to be able to cut anybody because he likes everybody. Oh, you know what'd be great? You know what'd be great is if they do the like the 24/7 thing where they go in for the season beforehand. What's it called? You know what it's called?
Hard Knocks.
There it is. Thank you. Glad you're in my brain. So yes, if they do Hard Knocks with the Lions, could you just see him cutting guys? Like, look, I really like you. I think you're a good kid. You got a good heart. You do a lot of things really, really well. We just got to let you go. What you need to improve on? Nothing. You're a good kid. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Like, could you imagine him cutting somebody? He'd give them zero good feedback. Like, none. No good feedback whatsoever because he likes everybody. Oh my God, that'd be brutal. Absolutely atrocious.
Is there a name out there that you would want to bring in here to change this? Because I feel like it's going to take a miracle. Like Jesus himself would probably be like, nah, I'm good. I don't want this job. I feel like it's going to take a miracle to get over whatever funk or mess this Detroit Lions team has going for it. I don't even know what to say, because let's say we get that stud running back. He'll probably get 1,200 yards and get hurt the day before the playoffs. You know, we'll get a report that, oh, he was ice skating out at Campus Martius like you do with your family. And, go out there and he'll be like, oh, he tore his ankle skating. You're like, what happened? Why were you out there skating? Dude, I had nothing to do. It was a day off. It was a Tuesday. I went skating. And you're like, no, it's ahead of the playoffs. Sit your ass at home. What is going on with this Lions organization? You can't even conceptualize what it would take, because we can say here, get that stud running back, get this guy, get that guy, but you can't build a perfect football team. I mean, we thought Rick Wagner, TJ Lang would perform. It's a crapshoot, literally. I mean, at this point in time, I'm kind of even rethinking my thought that Kareem Hunt could come here and do something. Literally, players come to Detroit to die in their career, basically. Who thrives here? Seriously, you got Marvin Jones. He kind of picked it up year 2, but Golden Tate has come here now, died. He gets yards after the catch, but now in crunch time in a year where you need him, you don't throw it to him anymore. Matthew Stafford might be the epitome of a wasted talent. He might be here 15 years, still talking about trying to get to the postseason, still standing up there at the podium telling everybody that, oh yeah, we're building something good here. It's amazing, and I don't even have a clue. Like, I feel like, if you have, because as they say, it's called Black Monday after the NFL season ends, there's going to be 12 jobs probably open that's going to be available for these guys to take. I feel like if it's those two between Patricia and McDaniels, I feel like if McDaniels goes to, another team, if he goes to the Bears, they'll be in the playoffs. And if Patricia comes here, he'll linger and he'll do nothing. And if it's the other way around, if we get McDaniels and Patricia goes to the Bears, then the Bears will be further ahead than the Lions, because that's just the Lions' karma. I don't know if anybody can stroll up in here into Allen Park and change the culture. It's that hard. I don't see it. There's not even a name of Vrabel. I don't even think if they plucked Bill Belichick. If Bill Belichick came here, he might turn into Hugh Jackson. Seriously, I believe the Lions organization would turn Bill Belichick into Hugh Jackson.
That's funny. I don't even know where to go from there. Look.
Give me props. That was good.
No, it was good. I don't have a name for you, but I need to see Bob Quinn. And this is the thing. Bob Quinn taking this job, he should have had a list of at least 5 guys that he wants. You know what I'm saying? Whether they be current coaches, whether they be offensive or defensive or special teams coordinators. He should have a list. And that head coach, whoever it is, whoever's next, he needs to embody whatever Bob Quinn wants to do. I feel like Jim Caldwell was the holdover of the old guard, right? Martha basically put him in a tough spot. She hired Bob Quinn a little bit late, couldn't really go out and get the head coach he wanted. Martha then comes out and doubles down on it. I really like Jim Caldwell. So now, if you're Bob Quinn, you're kind of stuck. But I think Bob Quinn's seen through it all and was like, I have a back door here. That's her guy. He's not my guy. I can sit there and I can ride this gravy train until the wheels fall off. Well, the wheels fell off in season 2. In the season where you should be number 1 in the NFC North. In the season where Aaron Rodgers basically dies. In the season where the Minnesota Vikings lose their lead running back. They got their 3rd-string quarterback taking them to the NFC North Championship. The wheels have now just completely fallen off. The Bears didn't even show up. At this point, Jim Caldwell should have arose to the occasion and grabbed the brass ring and sat there and helped the Detroit Lions win the NFC North Division. And it didn't happen. You didn't even sit there and stumble into the playoffs. It all set up for you perfect. Atlanta loses. All you got to do is win. Just win your game against a team that didn't even want to be there on Sunday. Didn't even want to show up. Their coach sat there and basically checked out 2 weeks ago when Adam Schefter was tweeting about how he's leaving after 15 years. You've got a team that has checked out on their coach who obviously wants to not be anywhere near those guys. And you can't get your guys to show up in the first half. And then it all falls apart on you in the 4th quarter. Ugh. And then you can just see, poof, your playoffs disappear. So you blew it. The wheels fall off.
We're not watching Sunday, and now we got to basically focus on the draft, like always.
You got to focus on the draft, but you also have to focus on a head coach. And the next guy Bob Quinn brings in, it's got to be somebody who's of the same mind as him. They have to have the same vision of this team. Whether it's building around Matt Stafford, whether it's building around the defense, whether it's finding a running back that's going to actually be able to do something and produce here, whether it's tweaking that offensive line. I don't know. You've got to find a head coach who has the same vision, because I don't know what Bob Quinn's vision is. Do you? I mean, he's never come out and actually even said it. I mean, he did give Matt Stafford all this money. And you know what? At this point, this might be blasphemy, because I like Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford is the best player on this team, hands down. I don't care who you think it is, and I don't care what you think you know. Matt Stafford is the best guy on this team, bar none. I wouldn't be upset if he sat there and traded Matt Stafford for some type of Herschel Walker-like deal, turn around and go into the draft and just get guys. Get guys.
Because you go out there and you see what a quarterback who performs can do to an organization. I mean, nationwide, who's getting the love? Jimmy Garoppolo. 4 wins with that talent. Can you name 3 guys on that offense besides Carlos Hyde? I can't name anybody else. Jimmy Garoppolo, Carlos Hyde, and a bunch of scrubs. And they got 4 wins out of it.
Yep.
You know, so you can expect more. You can expect a lot more from the Detroit Lions. A lot of it has to be put on Matthew Stafford because of the fact that he took on the personality of his coach, because around town people said that Jim Caldwell was brought here to kind of elevate Matthew Stafford. Unfortunately, now he talks like him. He got the same kind of swagger as Jim Caldwell. That's not what I want.
I think that's one of the things, too, that rubs everybody the wrong way, is the way Jim Caldwell carries himself. He carries himself like he's holier than thou. Like, you're a bonehead football coach that can't count to 11. You have no right to sit there and be so smug during your press conferences and to act like a total ass and a buffoon up there. Like, you have no right. If you were sitting there winning games and you could get 11 guys on the field, shit, at this point, I'll take 12. I'll take 12 guys on the field. At least I know you're trying. You're a boner.
Real quick, I'm not mad that he didn't challenge it, because I don't believe, with the respect that the Lions have across the league, it would have been a process thing. I would have just, for the sake of showing that you care, at least call the ref over, at least do something, demonstrative to get your team going. I mean, the team had no fight. It was embarrassing. It was a situation in which, in the end, Jim Caldwell is going to go out, and you know what? We may even be totally wrong. He may not get fired. He may get promoted. He just may be a guy that's put in the special assistant to Bob Quinn, get a lot more money, and say, look, you did your job, and we'll get somebody else to coach the team. But maybe I think there'll be a combination of, I don't see him just leaving. I think when you love somebody, then you say, we want you to stick around. And one last ththing. Does he coach somewhere else?
When you love somebody, you don't let them go? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, when you love somebody, you don't just throw them to the curb.
I feel like that's a song.
Do you think he coaches anywhere else? Does he break kind of that streak in terms of getting a job somewhere else?
Like head coach?
I feel like he would do good in Cleveland to get them from 0 wins potentially this year to maybe 8 wins. I think he's a good stopgap for them.
I think Hugh Jackson? I think he's a good coach.
1 win in 2 years, it's a good coach.
Look, dude, that's an even worse situation than what we're dealing with.
I think you and I could rah-rah into 2 wins in 2 years.
The Cleveland Browns the Detroit Lions are brothers in arms here, man. Just tore them. Well, actually, they've won more in the past than we have.
I feel like the prime spot for Jim Caldwell is go over there to Cleveland.
It could be.
You have that quarterback. You can kind of get it going. They would love 6 wins. Dude, they would starve for that.
I remember at one time we were starting for 6 wins. We want more now.
Now we want a playoff win. Which is still it's not much to ask a coach just to get to the playoffs and win one. I'm telling you, he'd have a 5-year extension if in the last 3 years he just won 1 playoff game. Sure. We're not even asking about Super Bowl. I mean, that's what we're screaming, yelling about as idiots, but not even 1 playoff win.
Just win a playoff game.
All right, let's take our first time out.
I think he does, to answer your question, I think he's an offensive coordinator for somebody. I don't think he coaches again.
Okay, we'll take our first time out. We'll come back. We got to look at the Red Wings as well. Listen, let's put the Lions season behind us. We'll have a full recap. We'll start looking at the draft and upcoming podcasts, and we will have to see if Bob Quinn pulls the trigger. But that's behind us. Going forward, I want to look at the Red Wings and see what's going on with them, because they're kind of now in the same boat as an organization similar to the Detroit Tigers that maybe need to make some drastic moves. Our thoughts next. You're listening to Doc and Jock on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Doc and Jock here for our host site, Podomatic.com. When Adam and I first started this project back in 2013, we were looking for a quality place to host all of our recorded audio. And thank goodness we found Podomatic. Why does the DSP network use Podomatic? We can generate links super quick. I mean, after Adam and I rant and rave for the next 2 hours, we're going to edit this podcast and boom, put it up to our host site so that all of our supporters across the country and even overseas can find us, interact with us, and listen to our great broadcast. If you're looking to start a brand new podcast in 2018, and lots of them are popping up each and every day, you need one quality host site. And Adam, Jason, Vito, Jerry, all the hosts on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. We're going to recommend one host site and one host site alone, Podomatic.com. Because a lot of people are not tuning into the Red Wings. We all know that. But when you do, when the general manager comes out and says, look, we're going to sell. We're going to seriously consider what the future is going to hold. We might do a full sell-off. And he does that about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And you go out there and you lose a handful of games like that. It's quite disappointing when you kind of pique your attention at the Detroit Red Wings. They're just good enough to be in games and lose late. That's where they're at. And they start making similar mistakes. If you start, looking at the head man, Jeff Blashill, they've been taking quite a few 6 men on the ice penalties, a couple penalties that you go, why is this team kind of looking like this on the ice? Some of the line changes have been, who's on what line has been kind of suspect. You demoted Anthony Mantha. It doesn't seem like the consistency is there with a crew of talent that I think somebody else probably would have them maybe not 5 to 6 games above 500, but I think on the ice, a different coach, a different voice would probably have that team playing a lot better, because it just seems to me like either the players are not respecting or not getting what Jeff Blashill's spewing out there, or whatever it is he's trying to sell. I don't think it's just a talent issue. Yes, this team could have a lot more talent. You could always use guys that can put the puck in the net, but at the same time, I feel like Jeff Blashill's systems, what are they? There's no distinct way of looking at a team. I mean, you could say it's a try and dump and chase kind of team with a mixture of some veterans that aren't producing, but how are you going to give all this ice time to Henrik Zetterberg and not demote him a little bit and kind of minimize his role? Dude is like maybe 1 or 2 points in the last 25 games. So you feel like maybe it's time, and maybe Ken Holland really realizes, okay, the writing's on the wall. This season's not going to result in much. That game versus Boston was pretty telling. I think it's time for a royal flush where even the likes of Zetterberg, even the likes of Nyquist, Tatar, everybody's open for discussion, maybe outside of the big three, Mantha, Larkin, Athanasiou. Everybody else, I feel like Green would bring in a haul. I feel like potentially a trade of one of the goaltenders. Probably Peter Mrazek is the name that will be floated out there as a guy that could bring you something. I think it's time. I think it's time to royally flush the Red Wings.
At this point, I think you're onto something. A new voice, a new direction, a new vision for this team going forward is needed, all the way from the bottom to the top. Ken Holland, Jeff Blashill, even a lot of the veterans on this team. Guys like Henrik Zetterberg, Thomas Tatar, Franz Nielsen. I mean, that was supposed to be a coveted free agent signing, and the guy has really underperformed since he's been here.
You know what I don't like?
Another guy.
You know what I like with Detroit sports? Themes are starting to emerge, and they're not getting fixed. Tigers bullpen, Red Wings can't hold a lead. Literally, in these games, you've dropped points because you've had a 1-goal lead, and 3 minutes later, it's tied up. Dude, this should be buttoned up. You need to fix the problem that emerges where, hey, you could have had at least 12 more points than you have right now if you just fix the problem of when you get the lead, figure it out on defense, dude. What the hell?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And this is something that, I don't know, I guess Ken Holland thought that Daly would come in and totally solidify the defense for this team, but he wasn't a very good player in Pittsburgh, and he didn't score a lot. He was just kind of a guy there. He's basically your 5th or your 6th line guy. That's what he is. This team needs a gutting. That's what it comes down to, man. Like you said, there's some guys that you're going to hold on to. You're going to hold on to Larkin. You're going to hold on to Mantha. You're going to hold on to Athanasiou. After that, I'm not really beholden to anybody. If somebody wants somebody, call me. Make me an offer. Let's discuss. There has to be a new vision. There has to be a new game plan. And look, I totally get it. You can't blow everybody out because you still got to put a team and you got to put a product out on the ice. You can't just get rid of all these guys and call up everybody from Grand Rapids. It's not going to work. You've seen other teams sit there and toil away trying to make those same mistakes. But you need to do something. You need to shake it up. If that means getting rid of a long-time captain like Henrik Zetterberg, that's what you got to do. If that means, I don't know, trading some of your pieces to get something else in return, then you got to do that as well. I just have a few guys who I don't think are, I wouldn't say that they're untouchable, because everybody is touchable for the right price. But there are a few guys that I would be less willing to get rid of and that I would want to sit there and try to build this thing around. I mean, look, Dylan Larkin, I don't think he's going to be the superstar that everybody thought he was. Anthony Mantha, I mean, I don't think he's going to be the superstar everybody thought he was either. And Andres Athanasiou is a nice player. I think those three guys, if you sit there and you pair them up with somebody who, I don't know, maybe is a potential superstar or somebody who's kind of the next caliber above those guys, can really help carry those guys and elevate their game as well. I mean, they're good players. They're good players. They're just not really, really good players yet.
What does Jeff Blashill offer this team? I mean, we were touted. I mean, everyone was told that this is a guy that has connections in Grand Rapids. He connects to young players. It doesn't seem like anybody's really flourishing. It kind of seems like everybody's there and their talent is shown. Mantha, I mean, you're trying to, instill, making him a two-way player, but are you alienating him or are you making him actually better?
Well, here's a question for you. Is it more Blashill, or is it more just the voice in the vision of how things are done for this team? Because you got to remember, a lot comes down from up top. I think Ken Holland's word carries a lot. I think it carries a huge voice in that locker room. And you got to remember, Ken Holland wants things done a certain way. You're beholden to veteran players. If you're a rookie, you got to do 3 times as much work as a veteran who only has to do, I don't know, half of whatever he was doing to perform at that level before. I mean, veterans on this team get a pass all the time. At least that's what it feels like and seems like. I mean, you'll have a young upstart kid going up against a veteran, and the veteran's going to get the nod all the time here. All the time. Even if the upstart outproduces and outplays the veteran. It goes that way all the time because they want them over-seasoned. It doesn't necessarily work out that well. It really doesn't. And look, it's a long season. 82 games is a long time. And you're right. I don't know what Jeff Blashill brings to this team. I have no clue because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen him do anything since he's been here. You go back to when he was with Grand Rapids. Yeah, they won they won a couple Calder Cups there, and it looked like he knew what he was doing. So yeah, you promote him, you bring him up, right? He's got the same exact voice and the same exact speech pattern as the guy who was here before, right? You would think the voice would carry a little bit. It doesn't. It hasn't. There's a disconnect. Jeff Blashill, he's done nothing. So he's on that enema as well with Ken Holland. They're all getting flushed out of here. It's what's got to get done, man. You got to change it up because it's not working. I'm almost certain Ken Holland will be gone by the time, I don't know, June comes around. As soon as this team can start making moves, I think Ken Holland's on the way out. I don't know who you're bringing in, though. I don't think Steve Yzerman's coming through that door. I don't believe he's coming through that door. I don't think he wants to come back here. If you were Steve Yzerman, would you want to come back here?
Oh, no.
You got a sweet deal in Tampa.
You got probably 4 years, basically, it's going to take to kind of rebuild all this. I don't think there's a quick fix because the teams in the East are brutal, man. It's tough. Boston's tough. You got Tampa. You got teams in that, the Rangers. You got to compete. And basically, I feel like the biggest issue is their refusal to admit, like the Tigers did finally, that they got to flush it out. They have to acquire talent. And in the past, when you had money, you could go with system and you could just go out there and fit people into your system. But now in a salary cap era, you got to go out there and you got to make moves and you got to be really creative with who you give contracts to. And when you make 2 or 3 big mistakes and when you give long-term deals to guys that haven't earned it or are not living up to the end of the bargain, now you see what happens on the ice where you're not producing. So in the end, with hockey, with basketball, and with baseball, if you're not a team that's in contention, you kind of have to go the route of Team Tank. And the Wings have been really scared of it. They feel like maybe Ken Holland doesn't believe he can actually go through and tank properly and get the right pieces. But look at teams like Buffalo, Edmonton. Look at teams like Toronto. Toronto's back. They're above 500. They're playing a strong brand. They were irrelevant for a decade. And now they got a superstar in Austin Matthews that everybody wants to go see. Unfortunately for the Red Wings, their unwillingness to call it what it is and to go down that road, it's okay. It's not that scary. We're here. It's hockey town. We believe in you. If you show us the path, but when you show us this wishy-washy kind of like we got these old veterans and we got this kind of core group of young guys we're trying to feature very slowly, and you're now going to have 2 years where you don't make the postseason, and you're not going to draft, first or second, you got to bottom out. And unfortunately, they changed the rules up too. Now there's a lottery. There's no guarantee you get that top 2 talent by tanking. So I know it's a lot harder, and I know that Ken Holland has said publicly it might take 15 years to accomplish it, but if you're solid in your job, 3 drafts can get you at least back to the postseason.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to bottom out, right?
You think, I'm not sure why Ken Holland, I've heard a couple different interviews he's done. I'm not sure why, though, he's so against letting this team tank a little bit and being able to get the high draft pick. I mean, there's much more talent at the very top than there is at the bottom of it. And your ways of going out and picking the best Russian player or the best Swedish player in round 7, it doesn't work anymore. You exposed your hand. Everybody knows how to do what you used to do so well back in the day. So it doesn't work. They know they've all got scouts now in Russia, in the far corners of Finland and Sweden. They know to go look in these places. They've got guys out in the Czech to do it. It's the way it works now. Hockey has globalized. You were at the forefront of it. The league has finally caught up to you. You gotta evolve now. You gotta figure out something else. And I just don't think he wants to evolve. And if evolving means tanking a little bit so you can get a superstar at the top of a draft, that's what you got to do, man.
Somebody asked us during a DSP Q&A, they said, well, what do you think about upper management? How is it going to shake out? And just from the talks you hear, I don't see Ken Holland getting fired. I mean, I think that how do you fire a guy that's gotten you 4 cups? I mean, it'd be a major thing. How do you unsettle the organization? If the team was about winning, they could do it. I believe Jeff Blashill is going to be given the opportunity to ride this season out. I think he's in year 3 of a 4-year deal. So there may be an opportunity to get rid of him at the end of the year. But in terms of Ken Holland, I think he's got some time to do this. I think he's going to be given the task of finally selling off and given a chance to actually rebuild this thing. I don't see him actually pulling the trigger. I feel like they're comfortable with him. He's done a lot of good things. And for me, when they ask the question, I don't see Ken Holland leaving that chair for a minute.
You can't have him come back. You can't.
No?
If you want to move him into some type of advisory role, that's fine. But he can't be the guy who gets to play with all the toys and press the cool buttons. You can't have him in charge anymore. And that being said, you can't have a guy like Jeff Blashill in charge either.
No.
At some point, both these guys have to go. They've got to be tied together. You throw one out, one's got to go with. And it's just the way it's got to work. You can't have them together anymore. Like I said before, a new vision, a new voice. I think that breathes new life into this team, new energy. I think you get away from some of these older veterans and maybe some of these bad contracts if you can trade them and just sell them off for pennies on the dollar just because you want to get out from underneath them. I think you do it. You have to at this point. And you just kind of, you got to, like you said, you're not even tanking at this point. This is more of an off-season rebuild. You got to burn it to the ground and then build it back up.
And that's the way it is, because at this point in time, when you look at tickets to go down to LCA to watch hockey, I'm just waiting to see when Toronto comes, when other teams come in.
Let me tell you, because I couldn't figure out what the hell to do for my dad for Christmas, so my dumbass thought it was a good idea to go get tickets to go to LCA because I haven't been at all, and he hasn't either. Looking at tickets,
Why?
Because I don't know. I haven't been. I thought it'd be cool. John's got to go like 15 times. I haven't. I want to go check it out. Anyways, I end up spending like $95 a ticket. You know how you go to StubHub or you go to SeatGeek, you go wherever you go, and the ticket's like $70. And you're like, I don't really want to pay that much, but it's on the day that I can actually take him, and he'll be able to go. And
ooh, look at you, big spender.
Oh, dude, it was so bitter.
$95.
So bitter.
You push place order? Oh my God. My finger
I had to, man.
Oh.
What was I going to do? It was like,
who's in town?
The day it was Carolina.
Oh,
it's not even a good team. It's not even a team I'm worth seeing. Like, if it was like Edmonton, that'd be cool. Boston, that'd be cool. If it was like Montreal, that'd be even better.
At least in the lower bowl, right? You're in the lower bowl?
No!
$95 a seat for upper bowl?
Yes!
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
I swear to God. I swear. I got the tickets right here on my computer. I got them saved.
Friends don't let friends buy $95 tickets in the upper bowl at LCA. What the fuck? Why didn't you consult with me?
It's ridiculous.
$95? I would have worked something out.
Section 214, row 7.
Get the fuck out of here. $95 a ticket?
These initially are $90 seats. I paid I think I paid like $77 a ticket plus all the fees. So it comes down to like $95.
Get out. It's
it
not
was
worth it.
Nuts. Nuts. I was so mad. I want to put my fist through my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Damn.
To go watch that crap. I'll give you when I come back from that game back in February. I'll let you know what's up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a 1-0 game too.
It's horrible.
February.
Horrible. Not even a good team that you're seeing. That's ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous.
Wow.
I don't even get one of those sweet seats where you get to like go and booze and eat all kinds of food.
Way to bring the podcast to a screeching halt. You overpaid for Red Wing tickets. My God, that's atrocious. They're going to have to do something to get your value out of it. You got to find something.
It's not cool, man.
Oh.
It's what it is.
That's why it's empty. That's not anywhere near a price point that's reasonable.
No.
It's got to be around 50. I mean, that's kind of pushing it.
The thing is, you can get some decent seats during the week.
Yeah.
During the week, you can get some okay seats for a decent price. But if you want to go on a weekend, good luck. Good luck. And it's just, and look, the only time I can do it is on a weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I work too much. It's just, whatever. Life.
Understood. Let's take our final time out. We'll end this podcast with the round of Jock Jams. I got a lot of questions for the Jock, and he's ready. He's pouncing. He's ready to deliver. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks, everybody, as we come to a close here in 2017. Thank you for your continued support of the network. Adam and I couldn't be able to rap about sports and be able to spew our venom and get out all of our frustrations without your support via our Twitter at Detroit Podcast. You can follow Adam at AdamRSTROZ. Free and easy way to support us in 2018. Visit our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Each and every day, we get a couple people that message us and say, hey, we really appreciate your podcast. We look forward to, when the shows air at different times. So definitely continue to support us. We can't keep doing it without your continued support. If you go visit our website, you can click through the Amazon banner. You can support our supporters and our sponsors. You can see which show airs when. Adam and I have had a wild time. Literally, each and every opportunity that we get has been like a further opportunity for us to do more. And in 2018, that's all we're going to keep doing. We're going to keep going balls to the wall. And anything that happens with the network is because of your support, and we greatly appreciate it. It's fun to watch sporting events and to get your feedback, both positive and negative. It's been a wild ride. And without your continued support, it wouldn't make it fun, even on like a light week like this, for me to even turn the lights on and do it. But with your support, it makes it fun. It makes it cool to get your feedback. And so we greatly appreciate it, as always. And so visit our website, follow us, support those who support us. We greatly appreciate it. DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We'll see everybody in 2018. It's going to be a wild-ass ride. So, Cuz, did Santa leave coal in your stockings, or did you get hooked up? Did wife buy you something cool? I got the present I wanted, and it was truly a surprise because, for me, I think you kind of know that I just say things and sometimes I don't follow up. Most of the time I do, but I told the wife back in, April, I'm like, dude, I've been seeing my in-laws play this cornhole game. I saw it at the time when they aired the Cornhole World Championships on ESPN. I'm like, dude, I see it all the time. I get these stupid Amazon promos on my Facebook all the time. And I'm like, dude, just get me a cornhole game with Michigan State on it. And I didn't say nothing since. She didn't get it. All of a sudden, Christmas comes and that big package. I'm like, what is this? Did they give me clothes? They give me a scarf? I wonder what they got me. I open it and I'm like, wait a minute. And then when the thought hits you and you get something that you want, I'm like, they got me a Michigan State cornhole game. And it was fucking awesome. I was like, yes, I get to play cornhole now at the house. Something else to do when you're drunk and drinking at the house and stuff like that. And it was cool. And I was like, dude, anything with Michigan State on just makes me happy. So it was really cool. That's what I got, among other things here and there. But that was the marquee present for the DOC, and I was pretty happy.
That's cool. I didn't really ask for a whole lot. Me and the wife weren't supposed to get each other anything, but I ended up.
That's how we did it.
Stuff.
Yep.
My mom and my stepdad got me something that I really geeked out about. So I'm really into anime. I like Dragon Ball, and I watch all of them.
I thought it was a dick pump, but
no, you're such a douche. Such a douche. Anyways,
extends.
I stumbled across a new anime when I was watching Netflix. It's called Death Note. It's been out for 10 years. And I just happened to come across it recently, and I've never paid attention to it. So anyways, the actual anime that's on TV and the comic is a little bit different with the ending. So I want to read through the comic. So they got me it's like a 13-volume set with a nice little collector's case that they got me, and I geeked out about that.
Nice, very good.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Christmas Eve was fun. We had a good time.
I'm a nerd, all right? Leave me alone. Don't judge me.
Adam's busy over there watching his anime.
It's not tentacle porn. I don't watch that. I watch real porn.
This is what we call Jock Jams.
Your girl, Kendra Lust.
We're going to finish this podcast off strong, talking about a lot of things from college football to the Tigers to the NFL playoffs. This is Jock Jams. Get ready. Because the saving grace in terms of football for all of us here at the network and for fans in Detroit is college football. Because of the fact that the Lions are atrocious, they never deliver. Michigan State have given us a lot, and I really do believe without them, I think we probably would end up hating football. With the opportunity for you and I to support, you, Michigan, me, Michigan State, and seeing what these teams have done and kind of follow their trajectory in the last couple of years as we've done this podcast has probably really helped us to stay invested in football, because I probably would go along the lines of what Kenny has done and just find another team. But with Michigan and Michigan State football, great storylines with the rivalry, with how these two teams are looking, with Jim Harbaugh trying to keep up in the arms race. So this week, it's bowl week. It's time, baby. It's that time. They've had their practices. Both squads are ready to go. Michigan undeservingly got to go to New Year's Day Bowl. Michigan State's playing tonight, 9 o'clock. I'll be enjoying it. How are you viewing it? What do Michigan and Michigan State got to do to kind of pull off the victory end of the two teams? If one's going to win, who you got?
First of all, I want you to understand both these teams are playing in Fleabag Bowl games, all right? They're both garbage. They're both crap. They're both shit. That being said, you're right. Michigan did undeservingly get to go to the Outback Bowl, and Michigan State gets to go play in the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. What? That's a mouthful. Anyways, Michigan State, for them to take care of business tonight, they're going to have to do a couple things. They're going to have to do what's got them to the dance, really and truly. That's all it is. You're going to have to be able to run the ball. You're going to have to be able to stop the run, and they're really going to have to force their secondary to sit there and turn the ball over. Washington State likes to throw the football around, so the secondary is going to have to sit there, ball hawk, force some turnovers there, and really just buckle down and put the ball in Lewerke's hands and let him help you win this game. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Michigan State's going to win this game.
Yes, very good.
As far as Michigan goes, similar. I mean, really and truly, along the same lines here. I don't think South Carolina is a very good team. That being said, Michigan's really underwhelmed me this year. All of that being said, I'm assuming that Peters is going to be the quarterback. That would be the thought, right? It's not going to be John O'Korn. Wilton Spate's gone, so I'm assuming it's going to be Peters here. But look, run the ball and play good defense. It's the two things that Michigan is going to have to do. Their defense has been pretty much solid all season long. It's what helped them win every game that they were a part of. That offense really brought them down. They're going to have to get that run game going early. They get it going early, often put some points on the board. I think at that point you can give the ball to Peters and let him do a couple things. And you're just going to have to hope that you can outlast the Gamecocks here. That's what it kind of comes down to. I don't want to sound like a jerk or a Debbie Downer, but I'm not really interested in either one of these games. It's just, I don't know. Maybe as the Outback Bowl gets closer, I'll get more hype for the Michigan game. But as far as the Michigan State game, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be on a random Thursday night in the middle of December. There's not a whole lot on, so I'll probably just watch. But I have no luster for these. Like, you know how normally when like the season starts and it's coming around, we're all like, yeah, let's do this. And then, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if I'm burned out on it or if I'm just underwhelmed because I feel like Michigan State kind of got boned a little bit, and I feel like Michigan underwhelmed the entire season.
No, I'm kind of liking how things have progressed for both teams. I mean, you got this early signing period. We got a chance now to kind of see which team got the better stars, the better talent. Both squads, Michigan State, have brought in some quality talent. Michigan's out there trying to find that quarterback to lead them in 2018. So it's kind of like the kickoff, the early kickoff to the next year. And so it'll be interesting to see how both teams respond. I'm really hoping both teams do well. I'm excited for it. Thursday night, I'm going to hang out, watch it. Probably New Year's Day, might have to peek into the Michigan game maybe around halftime because, 12 o'clock kickoff is a little bit tough. I mean, that might be the time I wake up. After a night of fun, you got to throw some back. 12 o'clock, New Year's Day, it's a little bit early. Couldn't you make it 3:30 like we always like?
That'd be nice,
right? It? All right, now, speaking of the NFL, look, let's put the Lions behind us. Let's talk about some real football. Some exciting things are taking place. The playoffs are now kind of coming into form for both teams in the NFC and the AFC. How are you seeing things shake out in the NFL? Who do you think you got going to the NFL Super Bowl?
All right, well, let's start with the AFC. And I thought this was an interesting question because at Christmas time, we kind of started bantering about the different teams in the NFL and who could make a little bit of a run here. So let's take a look at the AFC, and things are still kind of up in the air. You got a couple teams that are in the playoff hunt here looking to wrap up that 6th seed. You got the Buffalo Bills, you got the Los Angeles Chargers, you got the Tennessee Titans, all looking to sit there and jockey around to lock up that final spot in the AFC. If I had to pick a team out of those 3 teams to give me my most competitive game going forward and to actually go ahead and lock this up, I'm probably going to go with the Chargers. All right. And the reason I say that, Chargers have decent weapons on the outside. Keenan Allen's still a beast. They probably have they do have the best quarterback out of those 3 teams with Phillip Rivers. They've got a run game with Melvin Gordon. So offensively, they're stacked. Defensively, I like what they're bringing. They've got 2 edge rushers out there who can sit there and disrupt the quarterback and make their life a nightmare. So I'm going to go with the Chargers taking the 6th seed to get into the AFC playoffs. You then got the Baltimore Ravens, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, out of all of these teams playing in the wild card, I really don't trust any of them. Trust none of them because I don't know what you're going to get out of Blake Bortles. Kansas City, it's like it's a coin flip, right? They've got some pieces on offense, but is that offense clicking that day? Defensively, I don't like what they bring. They've shown me nothing. Every now and then, Marcus Peters plays a good game, and then sometimes he explodes because he's a head case. Baltimore, for all the injuries Baltimore has suffered this year, they still are playing a solid game of football. I mean, we talked about it the other day. Alex Collins like their 5th running back on their depth chart, and that guy's just churning out yards, churning them out. You know, and they've had a ton of injuries in their on their defense. Jimmy Smith, they're their best cornerback, and they're going down with an ACL or with an Achilles injury. So just tons of injuries for these guys. If I had to pick 2 teams to sit there and move on to play the Patriots and the Steelers, I am probably going to take the Baltimore Ravens over the Chiefs, and then I would probably take the Chargers over the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I got the underdogs winning here. So then it'll be the Chargers versus the Patriots, and that'll be an interesting game because look at it like this. When Tom Brady struggles, it's usually because there's a defense that's putting him underneath a lot of pressure. And again, we talked about the edge rushers that they have there in San Diego. All that being said, I think New England's got too much firepower, and I think New England ends up winning. That defense isn't very good. It's getting better. It's gotten better the last couple weeks. It's nowhere near where it was at when they first started the season. They've actually fixed a few things, but I don't trust them at all. As far as the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, look, that's a grudge match. That's a huge grudge match. I think a lot of that game depends on whether or not Antonio Brown comes back. Again, Pittsburgh's got a ton of offense. I think they've got a crap defense. Baltimore's got a really, really good defense, and they've got some question marks on offense. If Antonio Brown comes back, it totally changes the dynamic of that game and how that game will be played. I think that he opens everything up for Le'Veon Bell, and I think he makes the other wide receivers that are around him that much better. If Antonio Brown comes back, I think the Steelers win, and they win big. If not, it's going to be a slugfest. It'll come down to a field goal, and it'll be a coin flip game. Going into the playoffs, it's going to be New England versus Pittsburgh, and we've seen this match the other week. I mean, there was a weird call on a touchdown that might have been a touchdown, might not have been a touchdown. I think Pittsburgh could beat the Patriots. I think they could. If it gets to that point, I think they learn from what happened the other day, and they build upon that. Belichick's a god, though, right? Belichick is God. I'm going to go Pittsburgh, though. I'm going to go Pittsburgh winning by a field goal to advance to the Super Bowl. Now we move on to the NFC, and your Lions sat there. They screwed themselves. They're out. If Atlanta loses and Seattle wins, Seattle ends up taking that 6th spot. If Atlanta ends up winning, they'll hold on to that 6th spot. All that being said, I'm going to say Atlanta wins, Atlanta gets in. I like Atlanta here. I think Atlanta has something to prove. I think Atlanta hasn't been right all season, but I think now it's game time. Lights come on, they shine bright. I think at this point, Atlanta's got some things that they figured out, and I think they do a decent enough job here. They're going to end up taking on New Orleans in the wild card game, or they're going to take on the Rams in the wild card game. Rams have been super impressive. I mean, Todd Gurley's been a man beast. It's been outstanding. You like to see what that coaching staff's doing out there. You got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Carolina Panthers in a battle for the South there. I like New Orleans at home. I think it's hard to play in that dome. I think New Orleans ends up winning. As far as the Rams and the Falcons go, I think the Rams just have a little bit too much firepower right now. I think they're clicking on all cylinders, and I think they end up beating Atlanta. I do like Atlanta to make it to the playoffs, though, and I think if they do make it there, I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a little bit of a run because they do have something to prove. That brings you around to the championship games here. So you're going to have Minnesota taking on New Orleans. You're going to have the Eagles taking on the Rams. I like the Rams to beat the Eagles. I just don't trust Nick Foles in a playoff game. I just don't. If Carson Wentz was there, it'd be totally different. I don't trust Nick Foles. So I'm going to go with the Rams. Minnesota versus New Orleans. That defense is really good. Minnesota's defense is outstanding. I think Minnesota plays up. They're at home, so New Orleans has to travel. I think Minnesota ends up winning that. So you've got the Minnesota hosting the Rams. That's going to be a real interesting game. That's going to be a fun game. We were talking about that. That's one of those matchups that we want to see. Whose offense can overpower whose defense is really what this comes down to, because both of them have good defenses that are opportunistic. Both have good offenses that can sit there and put points up. I'm going to say Minnesota ends up winning, again, close by a field goal. And then that gets us to our Super Bowl, which will be the Vikings versus the Steelers, which will be an incredible matchup. An incredible matchup. Absolutely incredible. I think what ends up happening there, again, a lot depends on if Antonio Brown's there because he's a difference maker. But I think the Vikings end up winning. When you get to a game at this stage of the season, defenses have to play up and defenses have to make or break your season. And Minnesota has a much better defense than Pittsburgh. And I think because of that, Minnesota will go on to win. Pittsburgh's got a much better offense, hands down, bar none. They've got an elite running back. They've got elite wide receivers all over the place, and they've got a very good quarterback. But I think at this point, at this stage of the game, Minnesota's defense helps carry them and gets them to the Super Bowl, and they win it.
At their home arena, first time ever. Good stuff. Okay, I see a little bit differently. I cannot count out New England until someone beats the man, so I would always probably look at the matchup that I want. My heart tells me the Rams and the Patriots would produce a Super Bowl for the ages. Why not?
Ooh.
The young cat versus the old dog. Who's got the new tricks? You know, the young quarterback, Jared Goff, versus the new dog, the old established guard in Tom Brady. I would love to see that. That would probably break some records of all time. Okay, now, final thing here. We got to peek into the Tigers just a little bit. It's now, the offseason. They've traded off Ian Kinsler. Some of the pieces, some of the big money deals are off the books. You still got a couple contracts that you wish you could get off the books, but you can't. But now we got to count on the resurgence of some players that you already have, a la Jordan Zimmerman, Miguel Cabrera, some of the players that have to step up like Nick Castellanos, and some of the leaders, James McCann, Iglesias, guys that are still here, got to step it up. Matuk, if he's still here, Jacoby Jones. You're going to have to rely on some lesser known, lesser talent to kind of overachieve. And that's just where they're at. But in terms of improving the team right now, we all know the offseason is going to be light. We're going to be peeking at Toledo a lot more. Vito's like, dude, let's just go to Toledo and see some stuff. I'm like, Vito, yes, I know we could probably get a credential, but dude, seriously, I don't even know half these guys' names. But you know what? If the dude offers it, why not? Maybe we'll make a trip to Toledo, all three of us, and just go see what the hell is going on over there in Toledo, because that's going to be the future of the organization. And why not ingratiate ourselves to the Toledo Mud Hens? And they'll be like, who the hell are Doc and Jock? We're just used to all these minor league great reporters that are real quiet. And we'll be like, how come you went up to the major leagues already? Are you going to live here forever? Do you want this? What do you think about
You're going to live here forever.
What do you think about some reports I'm reading that you guys are not getting paid? You guys are like, slaves over here in the minor leagues. Get up to the majors. What's taking so long? And they'll be like, get some scoops like Al Avila sucks.
Right.
they'll
I have no idea why Al drafted me.
Matt Manning from Toledo hates Al Avila. Let's make some news from Toledo. That's what it is, really, with the Tigers. We got to make some stirred up in Toledo. What are you going to do? But what are you looking forward to this offseason? I mean, Vito's done a good job. We've been, trekking along, kind of going real slow, doing a podcast every week, Tigers Talk. But we've kind of just looked at some of the players, looked at some of the offseason moves, some of the deals, and some of the news and notes made from the Tigers. But what are you interested in this offseason?
I think as we get closer to spring training, the one thing I want to see is Joe Jimenez really solidify himself in that bullpen. Look, it'd be nice to see Miguel Cabrera come back 100% healthy. I'd like to see him hold up for the entire season. It'd be nice to see Victor Martinez be healthy and not be a locker room cancer. I don't care about any of these things because in a couple years when this team's supposed to be good again, they're not going to be here. So I don't care. Michael Fulmer, I don't care, right? I want him to perform, but I don't care. You're going to get traded. So it's what it is for me. I don't care about any of the older guys. I just want to see some of these young cats do some things, and I'd like to see Joe Jimenez come in, and I'd like to see him lock down his spot in that bullpen. He doesn't have to be a closer, not at least right away, but I need to see him show me something. I'd like to see a couple of different pitches. I'd like to see some command over his fastball. I'd like to see him elevate his game because what I seen last year was basically a scared kid on the mound, and I don't want to see that. I need to see a guy who's a pro, who's going to come in, he's going to take the ball, he's going to command the ball, and he's going to command the pitching mound, and he's going to get guys out. And that's really what I want to see as we make our way towards spring training and in through spring training right now. Because, look, I don't think Miguel Cabrera is going to be here for the long haul. Victor Martinez, I'm already done with. I don't care about him. A lot of the other guys on this team, I just don't care, you know? I think you got some things with some of the younger cats, you know, like Candelario, I'm impressed with, and I want to see how he grows and see in the way he tracks. But Jordan Zimmerman, bad contract, go away, you know? Michael Fulmer, you're probably going to get traded. It's unfortunate, but you're not going to be able to be controlled when this team possibly starts to win again. So, see you. It's just kind of where I'm at with it.
Breaking news, as you were talking Tigers, Reggie Jackson told you about it. Grade 3 right ankle sprain. Now, many people will say,
Ish, let's go, bro.
That's
it's
what.
Your ball.
Listen, I know people are looking at it. Oh boy, now you can't probably trade him at the deadline, but there is an opportunity for someone else to step up. And I know people will say maybe the Pistons are going to tank now. No, I do think maybe they can rally around someone else and do some things. This might not be a terrible thing. You know, we just got to wait and see how the Pistons respond. But I do think, you know, as always, a team without Reggie Jackson might be a little bit better. So we shall see how the Pistons respond.
I agree with you 100%.
This might be good news.
Yeah,
I
think so.
Very good podcast, sir. Enjoyed our conversation. Listen, even on vacation, always enjoy recording podcasts. 2017 was awesome. We set the bar. We'll continue to try and raise the bar in terms of how people view podcasts and alternative broadcast outlets. Very fun time. Thanks to everyone again for listening to us as we continue to trek along in our project. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks to all the supporters, the sponsors, those that message us each and every day. Follow Adam again on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Follow us on the network at Detroit Podcast. You know Detroit's most interactive sports Twitter page. We read everything, good and bad. That's why we love it. That's how we grew to this nonsense. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing everybody next week in the new year. 2017 was amazing. If you thought that was great, wait till you see 2018. Buckle your seatbelts. It's going to be a wild fucking ass ride.
Happy New Year! Woo!
This was locker room talk.
Second deck.
Sorry, Detroit. Didn't quite work out.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.